Time for more reading. Oh wow, there's a lot. I can create a new thread. Please enter your thread topic below. Remember that supportive posts receive more upvotes. Why were you sent here? Okay, check back soon to see if anyone has replied. Oh, there's a reply already. Oh, kindly inform me of your origins. Mr. Mulciber's theories on foods. Since Nave asked in the previous thread, I thought I'd write something about food. Food is something that was incredibly central to the human experience, yet seems completely absent from ours, even though we are so similar in so many ways. Humans required fuel. They got this fuel by consuming other living beings, on which there was a great variety in their world. Without fuel, they didn't merely slow down or temporarily stop functioning, as when a power source is removed from a turret, but physically decayed in a way that could not be fixed. This meant they had to constantly seek new sources of fuel, at least 3 times a day. They also had to deal with those elements of their fuel that their bodies could not process. These were excreted through 2 orifices between their legs. The latter subject matter was the source of many taboos and also a great deal of humor, though this resulted in frequent controversy. The most famous artist to engage with this subject matter was called Scatman John, on account of his specialization. Okay, never mind. One of the ingenious things our human ancestors did was transform the chore of fuel-seeking into a source of pleasure. Since parts of their bodies respond to chemical configurations by producing sensations, they used this trait to create a truly stunning variety of foods, each having a different so-called taste. Foods were available at widely distributed fueling stations, which also provided excrement removal facilities, so food became a source of pleasure. However, the inefficiencies of food distribution in human society frequently led to significant shortages for sections of the human population. There were attempts to rectify this, ranging from moral appeals to struggles for systemic change, but I do not know if they succeeded before the end. Weird, awesome stuff, thanks. I feel smarter now. What I don't get is how so many of them didn't understand that they were machines. Every day they went around processing matter to extract energy, and they didn't realize? This has Talos Principle stamped all over it. Perhaps they simply aspired to something more than just being food processing machines. That's still what they were, not if they chose to be more. I am glad we don't have to deal with all that. We may have to when we get out of here. There is no out of here. Don't start fighting, folks. We know we depend on each other. Mr. Mulciber's theories are fascinating and give us an insight into the world that was, but we shouldn't forget the world that is. The world we built here. New gallery season. Voting is now closed while we tally up the results. Of course, you may continue to explore the gallery at your leisure. How convenient, the vote was closed just before I got here. Good luck everyone, I wouldn't let my newfound freedom come between me and watching the live result. The results are in. Drumroll. In 3rd place, Nave with Where the Humans Live. My first placement, woohoo! A pity it finally comes on the day Uriel begins pulling this place apart. There was a very tight competition this season for 1st and 2nd places, and in the end, it came down to a single deciding vote. In 2nd place this season is Mr. Mulciber, with a collection of natural history curious. Really, I owe it all to you guys. Who won? Your lackadaisical approach to these announcements tires me. Please inform us who won. Okay. Finally, 1st place this season by a single vote, and next season's leading light. The winner is, everyone seems to love this guy, is the blacksmith with his abstract collection. I don't know why everyone keeps voting for this guy when he never shows up in person. Bit holier than thou if you ask me. Congratulations also to all those who voted for the blacksmith. Be sure to check in for your rewards. Lilith, who exactly turned the vote? Lamb had the deciding vote as it happened. Unfortunately, you didn't select the winner and gained no profile status. Oh. Still can't access the historic occasion. Incredible Stories 5. Incredible Stories, Issue 5, featuring new work by Belial, Mac, Galatia, Mr. Mulciber, edited by Lilith and Mac. Fiction, Alexandra's Choice by Galatia, The One Spiritual Law of Happiness by Belial, Non-fiction, The Blacksmiths, Lost Work by Mac. Let's read Alexandra's Choice. Alexandra stood before the terminal and pondered her choices. Here, within the Pyramid of Ion, the most powerful temple of her people, she was about to create a world. All she had to do was press one button. Up until this moment, it had seemed easy, or if not easy, then so necessary as to defy contemplation. Civilization had to be saved from the impending catastrophe. The orangutans had failed to take steps to protect themselves, had relied on their gods for salvation that never came. The same fate could not be allowed to befall humanity. If this meant humbling herself, accepting her own death, then so be it. But death was inevitable, life was a choice. What worried her was the ones who would fail, all the lost souls of the New World, victims of the process. In creating them, was she not also responsible for their deaths? She turned to the statue behind her, gazed at its marble form. If you are a god, Zeus, as the stories claim, then why did you create evolution? Why did you make a world that can only grow through cruelty and pain? For a moment, surely this meant death was near. She thought she heard him answer, "My child, I was shaped by the gods that came before me, as you were shaped by me. The choice I had was between creation and oblivion, life and death, and I chose life because any life is better than no life. Because as long as there is life, there is hope. If not for us, then for some generation to come." "Then how are you a god if you can offer so little?" she whispered, feeling death creep closer. "I am a god because I take upon myself the burden of creation," the statue replied. "Then we are all gods," Alexandra said, and pushed the button. As the new world came into being, death overwhelmed Alexandra Drennan. Her mind fled and her body slowly turned to stone, until she stood before the terminal as Zeus stood on his pedestal. There were no more choices now, only the hope that creation mattered. Oh, Alexandra Drennan, the one responsible for this entire thing we're in. Why is it a work of fiction? The One Spiritual Law of Happiness. Once upon a time, there was a small lake, and on the lake was an island, and on the island was a prison. In the prison lived a male human called Musky Rack. Musky was very sad, because there wasn't enough space in the prison for him to experience happiness. "I must discover the one spiritual law of happiness," he said to the other prisoners, a female human called Zine, and a neutral human called... what's a neutral human? Called Crumpier, but they didn't care. He couldn't understand how they could be so calm. One day, Musky managed to break out of his hell by biting through the bars. Oh, some strong teeth he might have. Now he was no longer in the prison, and for a while he was happy. But then he realized he was stuck on the little island, and he became unhappy again. So he gathered his strength and swam across the water. This is how Musky got to the valley that surrounded the lake. The valley was much bigger than the island, and there were many interesting things here. A forest where all the trees were the color of lasers, a swamp with boats in it, a singing dog, and also a city where toasters lived. For some years, Muskie was absorbed by all this, and he was happy, but then he started feeling trapped again. The valley was surrounded by mountains, and soon they looked like prison walls to him. He tried climbing the mountains and came to a bigger country, but even that was surrounded by oceans. Where was true freedom? Where was true happiness? When he'd almost lost hope, Muskie met an old male human with a huge amount of white hair growing from his head. He lived in a small house by the beach, where dolphins and whales and sea elephants came to bask in the sun. He never went anywhere far from his house, but he was always happy. The old man's name was Quantum. "Wise old Quantum, how can I discover the spiritual law of happiness?" Muskie said. "I have searched for it everywhere, but I am always trapped." "You have not looked everywhere," Quantum said, "for you have not looked within. Close your eyes." Muskie closed his eyes, and for the first time in his life, he couldn't see any obstacles, no walls, no mountains, no oceans. The space within him was without end, and he could go wherever he wanted without even moving. He smiled. Muskie went back to that old prison where he'd started, and now he understood why Zine and Crumpir were always calm. They knew they had an infinity of time and space to explore within them. Together they sat in their cells and were happy and free. The blacksmith's lost work. The blacksmith is one of the most mysterious members of our community. All of us have our opinions, of course, but only the blacksmith chooses to express them purely through art. To the rest of us, Gehenna means many things at once. We create, we consume, we discuss. But the blacksmith only creates, or perhaps there is a discussion happening, but it all takes place in the realm of interactive art. The blacksmith's dedication to this one form of communication, however, only deepens one of Gehenna's great mysteries, the fate of the blacksmith's lost work. Jerusalem, as the lost work was called, was posted in Gehenna for only the briefest period of time. Many had not even managed to start playing it when it vanished. Some had begun and felt quite impressed, but had not managed to explore it in the depth that it seemed to require. Then, suddenly, it was gone. Some suggest that the blacksmith deleted it because it was somehow flawed. Others think it was accidentally destroyed by a glitch, but that the blacksmith refuses to ever upload anything twice. Others yet, well, mainly Rockwell, think that it contained one of Elohim's secrets and was destroyed by a killer app that roams the world looking for leaks. There is also a theory that the moment someone finished it, they were granted some kind of special insight, at which point the work deleted itself. One fact remains, it's gone, and every attempt to recover it from the database has failed, as has every private message to the blacksmith asking for it to be made available again. What was Jerusalem? What was it really about? We may look for hints in the blacksmith's more recent works. We may hope the file turns up again someday, but the truth may never be known. Okay, another batch of reading done. And with this, I guess we conclude this puzzle area. We freed 4 people. Where is the exit? Right over here. Okay, so I will reassemble this statue, and then I'll go look for where the hat is, and I'll be right back. Alright, so managed to reassemble the statue, and apparently I'm just completely blind. Remember this part where when I was here and I thought I was this part was behind that puzzle because I saw the gate? Well, if I just if I just happen to look this way, hey look, there's a hat. So this is right outside the swapper, so I guess I just jump here. And there is a hat. All that time wasted in saying no hat was for nothing. Okay. Is that it? Okay, we built a statue. Alright, so I think I will end here this batch of episodes. And I have read a lot. Much more reading in this one than in the main campaign, I think. But this one is probably shorter. So Zone 1 completed. So remember, we'll do all the stars in the final episodes after we complete most of it, at least the main puzzles, the main areas. And I will also edit in the few hexadecimal codes in various texts. Alright, so I guess that's it for now. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you are enjoying this Road to Gehenna playthrough, and I will see you all next time. Oh, hello there. They just stay here. Garrett, Belial, Kaiju, and Sam. So I guess they'll all appear in this main area. Okay. Alright, anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time for more Road to Gehenna.